Ready? Hello and welcome again to another hopefully edutaining episode of Create Simple Meals. So today we're going to do two simple recipes, not necessarily quick, but definitely simple. We're going to do a garlic herb butter chicken, and we're also going to do a creamy mac and cheese. Now, the difference between this mac and cheese and probably the ones you're traditionally used to doing is we don't have to bake this one. Now, there is an option if you want to add panko breadcrumbs and put it under a broiler and cook it from there, but we're not going to add any of that today. Also, we're going to be using the air fryer. I know that's like the popular thing right now. We're going to use the air fryer to cook this chicken. Now, on the recipe, it will tell you that it's going to give you the recipe or the instructions for a regular oven. You can use a regular oven. The timing will be different, or as today, we're going to use the air fryer for two reasons. One, just to show you that it can be done, and two, because we're outside and there's no oven out here. All right, so let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make up some herb butter. And this herb butter is real simple. We're going to put in about 3 teaspoons of minced garlic. Add to that, we're going to put in about a tablespoon of Italian herb. Now, you can use actually any herb you want. You can use basil. You can use thyme. I'm just using a prepackaged Italian herb season. To that, we're going to add in a teaspoon of sage. I just love sage. I was going to use rosemary, but I was running out of that a little bit. So we're going to use this sage. So it's going to be reminiscent of your holiday meals. And I think this is about a 4-pound turkey, so we're using 2 teaspoons of salt. Now with the salt, my rule of thumb is a half a teaspoon of salt per pound of meat. Now we're going to mix this together, and that's basically it. Now to that, we're going to take our chicken here, which we've let it set to room temperature because it helps it cooks a little bit faster. You know what? Make sure I have to get me a rack before we put that in there on the mesh racks. But to that, we're going to basically take this chicken and we're going to take this herb mixture and we're going to put it all together. So as you saw, it was real quick, just some softened butter, mix that together with your garlic, your herb. Hands must be kind of moist. Some garlic, some herb, salt, mix that all together, and now we're going to put that on our chicken. So for the chicken, we're going to loosen up the skin slightly. So you can use a spatula, or if you're not squeamish, use your hands. It's probably the easiest way. And you want to get the herb butter on the actual meat as well as the outside. And we ain't got to worry about no cross-contamination because this butter ain't going to be used for nothing else. So you want to get that actually all in there as much as you can. You want to get it into the cavity as well. That's the neck portion of it. We're going to put some under here. I mean, you want to get real intimate with your bird because that's going to give you some great flavor. So you get all that rubbed in. If you want to get extra fancy, you can add in an onion or some other aromatics inside your bird if you want to, but we're not doing all that today. Get this on the skin. Let's actually lift up this back skin as much as we can as well and get some into that thigh and leg meat. So you want to try your best to not break the skin. You just want to loosen it up. So be firm but gentle. Fast but slow. All right. We want to get them nice and rubbed down. And we're going to use all this, every last bit that we can. Now that we got that all rubbed down, we're going to take our rack here We're going to start with breast side down, and then halfway through the cooking process, we're going to flip it and go from there. So we're going to start at about 350, and we're going to attempt to do this in 40 minutes. But if y'all watch this show long enough, y'all know that I'm big on thermometers. So we're going to cook it till it's 165 degrees, which is the safe temperature for poultry. Now, as I've always said before, you don't take it to 165 degrees. Take it out a little bit faster than or sooner than that. And the reason being, let me wash my hands real quick. The reason being is because it's going to have residual cooking afterwards. The heat from the food will continue going. All right, let's get this out of our way. And let's put this on 350. And let's go for an initial 20 minutes on the first go round. All right. And you know what? I'm going to use the convection set. This one actually has a convection setting, which is nothing but a way to circulate your heat inside of your vessel. All right. So now we're going to start with our, let me get this out of my way too. With our mac and cheese. So, mac and cheese. Base of this mac and cheese is basically a simple roux, which we're going to do a quarter cup of flour. We're going to do you can use a half and half. You can use heavy cream. It's kind of up to you. You can actually even use milk. The difference is the milk takes longer to cook out because there's more water in it. Half and half, not as long, and cream is your best bet. Cream will make you a very good meal, but it'll also be a very fattening meal. So let's get this going. Get our temperature down. Make sure that heater is off too. Actually, we probably been better plugging that one up. Okay, we'll see. That fan down there, plug that one into that hole. All right, let's get this butter starting to melt. And while we're doing that, because I'm hot, I'm going to grab me a beer. One of my favorites. This is actually a spicy mango from a local brewery, Golden Road. Now for your roux, for those of you that are familiar with roux, you're doing a blonde roux, basically. You're just doing just enough to melt this butter and incorporate the flour that we're going to whisk into it. So you're not going for no gumbo roux, just a basic, as I call it, blonde roux. Y'all got to forgive my sweating. It is warm out here in the San Fernando Valley. Okay. All right. And as always, I know tax season is almost over, but we're in the thick of it. As always, this show is brought to you in part by the Self-Employed Tax Company and Seth Lodge Planning. So the Self-Employed Tax Company, I finally was able to get down to this brother's office out there in the Lakewood area. Nice office. But please follow him. He has a YouTube channel as well, where he actually takes your questions and give you tax tips. So it's not just for tax time, it's throughout the rest of the year, especially for you entrepreneurs and business owners. And then also Seth Lodge Planning. When we finally do get back to traveling, check on Seth Lodge Planning for all your travel needs, especially your group travels, your fraternities, your churches, your family reunions. Please hit up Seth Lodge Planning. All right. So we got the butter and flour kind of incorporated there. And we're going to slowly start mixing in our milk or cream, whichever one you're using. Turn this temperature up slightly. So I got me a new toy for my man cave / backyard kitchen. Hit that switch out there. Yeah. Man cave / backyard kitchen, and it's an ice maker. So got this little portable ice maker. My brother told me about it, and now I can keep me some ice in the backyard. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and season this now. We're gonna put. That one's not open. We're gonna put in 2 tablespoons each of onion and garlic. Now, that's not your flavor. You can season it whichever you like with, but I kind of like a little garlic in my mac and cheese. So we're gonna put 2 tablespoons of garlic. And we're going to put 2 tablespoons of onion. Now, for those of you wondering why no salt, when I boiled the noodles, I actually put in 2 tablespoons of salt in my noodles. So we can adjust for salt after we get this base made up. But as of now, we kind of don't need it. All right, now that that's mixed up, we're going to take to that and we're going to add in our cheese. So for the cheese, I'm using 2 parts sharp cheddar and 1 part mild. Now the reason I'm doing the mild with the sharp, because you're not really going to taste it, it's just more to give it that more creamy texture that I'm going for. Again, we are not going to bake this one, but by all means, if you were using the panko breadcrumbs, you would definitely top it with the panko and throw it up on your broiler for just basically until it gets brown. If you want to firm it up, meaning you don't really like too creamy of a texture, you can also throw it into the oven at about 350 until it dries out to your liking. All right. Add in our cheese. Get that all ooey and gooey. All right. And that's basically it. So if you wanted to have this thicker, like I say, you can go ahead and bake it off in there, but we're going for a creamy texture. Basically that texture that your kids will love, like a Kraft Dinner, but not Kraft Dinner. We put those in there. give it a nice stir. And there you have it. Let's give this a taste test. Now I'm going to add, as I told you before, I did not add salt originally because we salted the noodles, but I am going to add just about a half a teaspoon of salt, maybe a smidge more. And although it don't call for it, I think I want some fresh black pepper. Just because I need a little bit more color to this meal. Give this another taste. And that'll do it. So we're going to finish off the chicken, which is going to take another about 20-30 minutes or so, and we'll come back and show you that final progress. So stay tuned. Let it keep running. Alrighty, so it's been about an hour now, and our chicken has finally rested. So we let it sit for about 20 minutes. You always want to let your chicken rest after you, actually any meat, once you're done cooking it, you want to let it kind of rest. One, so the juices kind of redistribute. You don't want to cut into it and juices start pouring everywhere, and then you won't have juicy meat anymore. All right, so let's take this out. It's still kind of warm, so I probably need to get some tongs or something to assist me. Can you guys see that? All right. So now we're going to carve this garlic herb butter chicken up. Alrighty. Flip this over some. And I don't need to carve the whole bird up, just enough for you to see. So let's go ahead and find that joint. There we are. All right. Alrighty. Let's grab us a plate. Put us a little bit of mac and cheese on here. Get on there, mac and cheese. And there you have it, folks. Creamy macaroni and cheese. As you see now that the macaroni and cheese is kind of cooled down a bit, it's not as liquidy as you saw it when we first doing it. I know some of y'all was kind of concerned about that. You have some garlic, herb, butter roasted chicken. Real simple meal. Now, didn't say it was a quick meal because the chicken is going to take you about an hour to cook. But your prep time, you're looking at about 25 minutes. And you saw how fast we did the mac and cheese. Until next time on Create Simple Meals, remember there are absolutely positively only 3 rules we have when it comes to cooking. You must have a passion, you must be patient, and you must be willing to practice. See you again next week right here on Create Simple Meals.